Hi there, my name is Athel and I'm here to help you fix your relationship, improve your life and understand your personality. And this episode is going to be Ask Athel Anything, and if you have a question for me you can send me it at askathelanything@gmail.com. So here is today's question. In the MMSL Primer, which was my first book, you very briefly advised not attempting certain things if your wife was sexually abused in the past. I just wanted to ask, from your experience coaching other men, how much success did they have running the MAP when their wives had been sexually abused in the past? So I kind of got two answers to that. And the first is almost going to be one of the things I said right at the very beginning of the primer in the introduction, is that I can guarantee if you do this, and you run the MAP and you put the effort in and you work on building attraction and comfort and all this stuff, I can guarantee if you do this, you're going to get a positive response from women. And you're going to be able to attract into your life a woman that is going to respond to you and wants you and has a good relationship with you. But I can't quite guarantee that it's going to be the woman that you're currently married to. And I don't know if I really have too much different to say now than I did, 5-6 years ago when I wrote the book. I think what I see with everyone that I'm coaching, and they run the MAP, they put the effort in, they really try, they all become more attractive. They all become happier. They all have a greater sense of confidence. And of course, I'm advertising my coaching here that, hey, it works, it's wonderful, but they really do. They all feel better about it. And they often get the sense of there are other women that they're around who start responding to them better. So they can actually really feel, hey, I am more attractive, I am happier, I am broadcasting a higher value in general. And pretty much in all the cases where there was no real problem with the wife other than a lack of attraction, they all have fabulous, fabulous results. But when you do have a blockage, when you do have a significant problem, such as sexual abuse or any other kind of trauma, then it is hard to know exactly what will happen. And often I find, as I've now done this for several years, is that often the whole point of the MAP gets to be the thing where you're trying to create enough attraction, enough value, enough momentum in your relationship that you can actually successfully leverage things to actually make her want to deal with the problem. So, like I say, if the only problem was attraction and you become attractive, then it's problem solved. But if the problem is she has some sort of sexual trauma that she's not addressing, she's had no therapy, no counseling, never worked on it, it's still reactive, you gaining that much value can actually mean when you get to that point of, hey babe, the trouble is that you have this unresolved trauma. If you can fix it, fantastic. If you're refusing to fix it, eventually I might leave or find someone who will respond to me. I will stop tolerating this endless sacrifice of not having the relationship I want with you. Then that may be what it is that swings the balance and actually encourages you to finally say, you know what, me dealing with all this crap is something I don't want to do, but I am more not wanting is to lose the relationship I have with you, particularly now that you're so good and things are pretty good, great. So the whole point of the MAP in a sense becomes, okay, well let's leverage things in. That being said, there's no particular assurances that they will go for it. Pretty much the worse the sexual abuse is, the worse the situation, the deeper the trauma or mental illness or whatever it is, the harder it is to change things. If it's relatively light, you have good chances. If it's really heavy, you have reduced chances. But it's often the only thing that's actually going to encourage them to try and deal with it. And I don't know if I have any hard and fast rules in terms of how many people improve and how many don't. I've certainly seen some incredibly fantastic guys, physically attractive, great jobs, high value, kind, caring, committed, loyal, who have discovered that the wife they are with has really, really deeply ingrained disorders, And there is nothing they can do or say or want to be or anything that is ever going to get her to address things. And in those situations, the relationships sort of seem to go smooth when they're not trying to get what they want. But as soon as they try and get what they want, things really destabilize and blow up. And I've seen some of those situations where the guy's like, you know what, I can't fix this. I am tired of living my life as somebody else's problem. And there really is no requirement that anyone lives a life of sacrifice so that someone else doesn't have to deal with the problem. And I've seen those situations where the guys have finally said, you know what, I've got so much value. I knew who I was when I moved into this relationship. I understand how I attracted this person into my life, and now I can move on and do something different and better. And on the other hand, I've seen people with some fairly deep situations and actually make progress as the wife responds. But even then, it is always a slow, steady, methodical process. Even if she suddenly says, yes, I've got to deal with this trauma, whatever, it can be some considerable period of time as they go through therapy or get on meds or whatever it is to pull themselves out of the funk and down place they've been in. So it really is a sort of a mixed bag answer. On one hand, I can sort of tell you the cheesy answer of yes, everyone will be 100% successful. They will become more attractive. They can certainly find someone to be with. But there's also the more realistic one where the person asking really wants to be attached to a particular outcome, and there isn't any particular guarantee that that person will sign on for trying to fix the problem. And that's the awkward truth. And that being said, if you are totally maxed out in terms of your attractiveness, your value, the love you're expressing, your commitment to make it all work, and they don't want to fix a relationship breaking problem, and they are refusing to and would blow things up if you were suggesting it, if you're as good as you're going to get and that's still not good enough to make them want to fix things, there's no more that needs to be done, and there's no more that you can do. So sometimes it's sort of that give up point. And speaking for myself, who's now dealt with hundreds of cases of these now, sometimes it really is for the best that people let go. And I'm certainly super committed to seeing marriages work, and I'm super committed to seeing people stay together and having wonderful lives and outcomes and all that sort of stuff. But I've also seen so many cases now where it's like, I've seen it. Listen, you have done everything. You are just bashing your head against a brick wall, and you've been married in this situation for 20, 25 years, and all I can see for the future is exactly how it is now, and right now is awful. So, like I say, there is no, like I said earlier, there is no requirement that anyone sacrifice themselves to help someone else avoid facing a big problem in their life. And what's really sad is we're not even trying to take anything away from the spouse who has this injury. We would love to help them and support them. And the irony is what we're trying to give them is a happy life, a great relationship, a shared history that stays intact, and a happy family. And there are some people that will fight you hard to make sure that they never deal with your problem. So, on that sort of mixed blessing note, I think I'll leave it there. And until next time, I will catch you then. So please share, like, comment, subscribe, and all that good internet stuff. If you've got a question for me, ask athelanything@gmail.com, and I will catch you next time. Alrighty, bye.